Okay, we're on page Lamed Hey, Siv Zayin. I think we start again, 4 lines into the ice, so move on Geidel HaChiddush. We're talking about Alter Rebbe's Chiddush, that the name Tzvais refers to the Achdus of the Eibishter in the world of Biyah. Generally speaking, all the names of Hashem refer to the Achdus of Hashem that exists in Atzilus. Here, the Alter Rebbe tells us that the Achdus of Hashem carries into the world of Biyah as well, and that's what name Tzvais represents. So the Rebbe brought it from the Tzemach Tzedek that this is the Alter Rebbe's Chiddush. It doesn't say this earlier in Sifrei Kabbalah. So let's continue inside, in Eis Zayin. Move on Geidel HaChiddush va'ilui d'shem Tzvais. It's understood what the great Chiddush here is, and the greatness of the name Tzvais. Shenas al yidei avodas b'nei Yisrael. It's accomplished through the avodah of Yidden. K'meish Yisrael hem b'mayim u'dematzav d'zman ha'neviim. And specifically in what time period? When Yidden are in the times of the Nevi'im, la'achrei hazman d'pnei Moshe k'pnei Chama, much later than the time period of Moshe Rabbeinu, which is compared to the light of the sun, a direct revelation, a direct light. Frat, k'meish Yisrael hem b'mayim u'dematzav d'zman ha'nevi'im ha'achrayim. And more specifically, this refers to the times of Yidden in the latest Nevi'im, which lived in the time of the end of the first Beis HaMikdash, including the time of the Churban itself, and in the time of the beginning of Golus. And also the Avodah of Yidden following that time period, which is the Avodah of Golus, and the Avodah that during Golus, which we are in now. Shagam Bailam is Biyam. So through this Avodah we reveal that even in the lower worlds of Biyah, when you look at them alone, they are seen as separate creations. The idea of Yivagamayachad hu Batzilus, as it's mentioned in Zohar, that's mentioned regarding Atzilus, which is Olam Ha'achdus. Atzilus is a place of unity. So even here in Biyah, it should be k'moi Batzilus, like an Atzilus. So let me just again clarify this concept of k'moi Batzilus. The Rebbe keeps on repeating this expression, k'moi Batzilus. Obviously, Biyah will never be like Atzilus, in the sense of that in Atzilus there is no avodah l'chatchila to create that achdus. That is what the entity of Atzilus is. In Biyah, you come to a place where there is a nifrad, where there is a separation, and a yid through his avodah has to introduce the achdus of Hashem. That's number one. Number two, when the Rebbe says k'moi Batzilus, the word of k'moi Batzilus means that the recognition of Hashem should be in the same way as Atzilus, in one nekuda, in one most important nekuda. Just like in Atzilus, the recognition of Hashem, the achdus of Hashem, is mitzad the world itself. It's not that the world is a nifrad, and then we bring this other revelation that overwhelms or is mevatel Atzilus. That is what Atzilus itself is. The point of revealing the achdus of the Eibishter in the world is to bring not only the presence of Hashem into the world, but bring it and integrate it into the Metzius of the world. To reveal that this is the Metzius of the world itself. That's the Ikon Nekuda that K'moi Batzilus means. But of course, the Rebbe is not saying over here that Biyah is Atzilus, Biyah becomes Atzilus. It's not that Biyah becomes Atzilus. Biyah remains Biyah. Each world has its own reality. Each world is completely separated from the world before. They're separate places, they're different realities. The point of K'moi Batzilus is that there's a certain nekuda that there is an Atzilus, that the Metzius of Atzilus itself is a Elokus. That's in the same way, Elokus should be connected to the worlds below, to discover how the world itself expresses the Eibishter, expresses the unity of Hashem. Shloimar, Rebbe goes back to the Gemara. This gives us a deeper understanding. In the Psaktin that we hold by, Shetzvais hu Shem Kodesh. That Tzvais is one of the 7 holy names. But nevertheless, the name that Hashem has, Tzvais, Where does that name come from? Al Shem Tzvois Shaloi. The Eibish's name of Tzvois is because of his relationship to his legions, and who is that? Al Shem Yisrael, connected to Yidden. Because Yidden are called in this week's Parsha, in Parsha's Boi, with the name Tzvois, so the Eibishter has the name Tzvois based on the Yidden. So the point here is that, if you remember, we learned this, I think, earlier in the Maamar, that there's the opinion of Rabbi Yossi. There's a machlekes in the Gemara if Tzvois is a holy name or it's just another title that we use for Hashem, but it's not one of the holy names that may not be erased. Rabbi Yossi's opinion is that it's a title. Why is it a title? Because according to Rabbi Yossi, the name Tzvois really refers to Yidden. Elamai, the Eibishter is connected to Yidden, so therefore the name Tzvois is also a title for the Eibishter. But it's mitzad Eibishter's relationship to Yidden. It's not a title of the Eibishter himself. Now the Tanna Kama, the Rabbana that disagree and say that it's a holy name. When you learn the simple pshat of the Gemara, you would think the pshat is, they disagree to the whole premise. They say, no, the name Tzvois has nothing to do with the Yidden. The name Tzvois shows on the greatness of Hashem. It's not associated to Yidden. It's one of his holy names. And therefore, it may not be erased. So the Rebbe here is being machadish. The Rebbe is saying that's not the pshat in the machlokes. Everybody agrees to the premise that Tzvois is different than the rest of the names. The other names of the Eibishter are his names. They're titles that are given for him. This is a name that comes from the fact that Yidden have the term Tzivos Havaya or Tzivaisam Tzivaseichem, and therefore the Eibishter is also referred to as Tzvois. Now, the argument is, when you have a name that's based on a name that comes from Yidden, could that be a holy name that's not erased? Rabbi Yossi says no, because it's not describing the Eibishter himself. And the Rabbanan say, although it's a name that comes from the Yidden, still the Yidden accomplish that this name could be a holy name as well that shouldn't be erased. That's the way to learn the Gemara. The fact that Tzvois is a holy name, and as we explained, what does that refer to? The holiness of Hashem in the worlds of Biyah. That even in the worlds of Biyah, the unity of Hashem should be recognized there. This is accomplished through the Aveda of Yidden. Biyah is not a place naturally that has that kind of an achdus, that could reveal and express Hashem in that kind of a way. It's only through the Aveda of Yidden, Torah mitzvahs, and we'll see later in the Maamar, the Rebbe will talk more details, which Aveda, that Yidden could reveal this kind of achdus of Hashem in Biyah as well. So it's a name that's caused by Yidden. Everybody agrees to that. There's a chiddush with this name. It's caused by Yidden. But the Tanna Kama says that although it's caused by Yidden, but you draw the true reality of Hashem and the true identity of Hashem into Biyah as well. And therefore it can be a holy name like the other holy names. There's another nekudah that the Rebbe says in a Sikha. This Maamar, parts of this Maamar are in a Sikha in Chelik Lamed Vav Parshas Boi, this week's Parsha. I believe it's the second Sikha in Chelik Lamed Vav. So if you want to see certain details that are not spelled out in this Maamar, it's in a Sikha in Chelik Lamed Vav. There the Rebbe explains the other way around according to Rabbi Yossi. When Rabbi Yossi's opinion, which is that it's not a holy name, so there's two ways how to understand the opinion of Rabbi Yossi. And the Rebbe brings various sources for this. One way how to understand the opinion of Rabbi Yossi is that the name Tzvois is not a name of Hashem at all. Just like you have other titles that sometimes are used legabi the Eibishter, but it's not one of his names. You can take any title that you use for anything and apply it to Hashem. Tzvois is not a holy name whatsoever, and therefore it's a name that could be erased. It's not Hashem's name. But the Rebbe says in the Gemara, it's mashma that Rabbi Yossi agrees to the premise of the Rabbanan, that it is one of the names of Hashem. Elamai, it doesn't have the same stringency. It's not on the same level as the rest of the names, and it may be erased. Which means that you look at this whole chiddush of the Maamar, and you may think that everything we're talking about here is only according to the Tanna Kama, and Rabbi Yossi disagrees. You can't draw the achdus of Hashem into Biyah. It's not the same, and therefore Rabbi Yossi says it's not a holy name. The Rebbe says, no, Rabbi Yossi also agrees that it's a holy name. Elamai, sof, it's not on the same level as the rest of the holy names, and therefore it may be erased. Right? So it's similar, for example, to titles like Hagadol, Hagibor, V'Hanoira, which are names that we use specifically for the Eibishter. Even though theoretically you could use it with human beings as well, but it's not. You don't use it for human beings. Those are titles that Chachamim were masakin to use for the Eibishter, and they're names that could be erased. They're still names that could be erased because it refers to expressions of Hashem in lower worlds. It doesn't refer to the essence of Hashem. That's how Rabbi Yossi views the name Tzvois as well in that category. Now the Rebbe adds another very important point. The whole point of this Maamar is to bring the Achdus that exists in Atzilus here in Biyah. How is that accomplished? How could you reveal the Achdus in Biyah like it's in Atzilus? You have to draw and reveal from a very high place. And the Rebbe adds another detail. Was heißt from a very high place? You have to draw from a place that's even higher than Teira. As Teira was revealed in the time period of Moshe. Because by Moshe, Teira was revealed, but the effect of Moshe and his generation was limited. Because Moshe Rabbeinu took the Yidden out of Mitzrayim and gave them Teira. But where did they experience life for the 40 years with Moshe Rabbeinu? In a midbar, surrounded with Anani Yaakov. They were secluded from the rest of society. They didn't enter into a land in Eretz Yisrael and deal with the physical existence of the world the way we deal with it today. So therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu, although he drawed Teira into the world, but the kayach of Teira that Moshe Rabbeinu brought had a limited effect. Masha'en came later generations, which are l'chayra on a lower level than Moshe. You come to the Nevi'im, they don't have the Pnei Chama like Moshe. They don't have the direct revelation of Moshe. Especially you come into the Nevi'im Achrayim, you come into this Zman HaGolus, certainly not as great as Moshe. Nevertheless, the Rebbe here says that we, through our Aveda, are accomplishing and bringing the Achdus of Hashem into lower elements of existence. Into Golus, into the entire world. Yidden are scattered around the lower world. It must be that Yidden have a koyach today to draw from a higher source than in the Zman of Moshe Rabbeinu himself. That's the Chiddush. Right? So the point is, this is what we learned in last year's Maamar, but this is true always in Chassidus, that if you want to bring something lower, if you want to affect a lower place, you have to draw from a higher source. So the fact that Yidden could reveal the emes of the Eibishter in the world, and in the world itself, in the mitzias of the world itself, that's by drawing from a higher place. It's like it says, B'negeya to Yisra Nar Mitoich HaChoshech. A greater light comes from darkness. There's a few pirushim in that. One of the pirushim is when you could discover the truth of what Choshech really is about. When you could discover the source of Choshech, the same Eibishter that created Oir and has a great positive source also created Choshech. To discover the emes of Choshech itself takes a much deeper source. To discover the emes of Oir in a place where there's light, so you can draw from Giluyim L'mayla, from various levels of revelations. Sorry. But to be megala the emes of Choshech, gam Choshech leyachshich mimcha, and that Oir and Choshech are all the same by the Eibishter, and there's no Maila that Oir has over Choshech because they both equally come from the essence of Hashem. You have to draw from a much higher source for that. It's the same thing over here. In order to reveal the emes of the Eibishter in Biyah, that's only possible if you draw from a Mokim Elyon B'Yaiser, from a very high place.
Maybe you can say Rav Yossi is actually in a higher level
than the Tanakama.
Saying it's even in the chambers that they can erase.
Even going lower to a lower level, possibly. Yeah, but again, so this two chedushim that the Rebbe just said here. Mimokim Elyon B'Yaiser, and then the Rebbe says Shenai legam b'chinas HaTeira, higher than Teira. The Rebbe now proves this. Shari b'Teira lenis geshem tzvais in Teira, as great as the Giluyim in Teira are. The name tzvais is not mentioned there. Hainu shemitzad b'chinas HaTeira, the revelation of the level of Teira. Ha'inyin deviyu v'garmoyachad hurak b'Atzilus. The revelation of Teira only reaches into Atzilus, which includes also Olam Hazeh, in the reality of Atzilus in Olam Hazeh. When you're surrounded by Anani Yaakov in Olam Hazeh, that's a reality of Atzilus. In order to bring the Achdus of the Eibishter into the world of Biyah as well, you have to draw from a higher place, even higher than the source of Teira. So now the Hemshech of this Maamar, Ches, Tes, Yud, the Rebbe will explain, so what is it that's higher than the source of Teira? And how could you draw from higher than the source of Teira? What exactly is the Aveda to draw higher than a Yid's Aveda in this world is to be Mekayim Teira and Mitzvahs. So our entire Aveda is to bring the light of Teira and Mitzvahs into the world. But over here we're saying we have to draw from a place that's higher even than Teira. What is that Aveda that draws higher than Teira?
Why is it relevant to us? Where are we going from?
Huh?
Why is it relevant to us?
Because the objective of our Aveda now is to bring the Achdus of the Eibishter into Biyah, into the lowest elements of the world. And in order to be able to accomplish that, it's not enough to draw from the energy of Torah. You have to draw from a higher source. So what's that source? Where are we drawing from? What exactly is the kind of Aveda that makes this possible to draw from a place that's even higher than Torah, to be able to affect and reach a place that's even lower than the Torah itself? Look here, let me add one clarification. Torah Bemis has no limitation. It's an interesting chiddush the Rebbe is saying. When you see the Rebbe says here that there's something that's higher than Torah, and you could draw from even higher than Torah, the emphasis is Torah reaches everywhere. There's no matziv in the world that Torah doesn't have an opinion about, and Torah doesn't give a person an instruction how to conduct himself, especially if you're following the Niglish here that we learn here. So we're learning the Gemara Brachas, all kinds of halachas regarding situations when a person has to deal with dirt, and today's the last sugya we're going to learn about this. The lowest situations that a person is found in, Torah has an opinion about every single moment in every situation, the lowest place in a person's life. But here's the point. Torah says and speaks to a person from the perspective of Torah and sees every reality as another prat of how to fulfill what Torah wants. Torah doesn't recognize that there's an existence outside of Torah. And there, that existence itself expresses the unity of Hashem. From the perspective of Torah, as much as when a person is sitting in front of a sefer, in front of a siddur, he's davening and he's doing a holy thing, when a yid is busy with the lowest of lowest things, and there Torah gives him guidance how to conduct himself, so it's also in the reality of Torah. As far as Torah is concerned, you're always in the world of Torah. Right? It's like the Al Derech, the famous word that the Rebbe says, from the perspective of Torah, it's not the pshat that I exist and I have an arm and I have a head, and now Torah comes and gives me a directive, put on the tefillin on your arm and put on the tefillin on your head. No, it's fakert. In the world of Torah, Torah has its objective and its world, that the tefillin has to be placed in the right place. And in order for the tefillin to be placed in the right place, you have to have an arm, you have to have a head, you're the prop where the fulfillment of Torah's will and Torah's reality gets done. It never recognizes any reality outside of Torah. So when the Rebbe here says that Torah has a limitation how far it reaches, it doesn't mean just in the simple sense that Torah doesn't penetrate all levels. It does. Torah penetrates everything ad asof. Torah is bli gvul. But it all remains in the reality of Torah. To reveal how the Welt itself, the Etzem Metzias of the Welt itself, says, Einoid Mulvadai, that you could see within the Metzias of the Welt itself, the Magodla Masecha, the Marabo Masecha, that's something else. That you draw from a deeper source that's higher than Torah, that could reveal that. That's what the Rebbe is saying here.
Yeah, but you see the Indian, if you don't watch the Basi, you don't learn Torah.
Yeah.
So you see that there's a place where Torah...
That itself is a hirah from Torah. So that's al derech the part we learned yesterday. When a person has made a glayim and he can't daven, so he's fulfilling the hirah of Torah. You see the story of Rab Melech and Rab Zusha that danced in the prison, right? They couldn't daven. So that's all. It's Torah. There's no moment in a person's life, including when a person sleeps. How should he lie when he sleeps? We learned that in the Gemara as well. Everything, every single moment of a person's life is a place where Torah is.
Maybe also the point of the following is that at the end of the 20 paragraph of the whole Maamar, it says that the whole thing is Yerida Tzorach Aliyah, that the whole Yerida was that the Neshama should go.
Okay, so let's see what it says. Let's see what it says. The Hamshech. So here's the point. The Rebbe doesn't come immediately to the point. It'll only be in the end of Eis Yud. But when the Rebbe here says that you're drawing from a place that's higher than Torah, what the Rebbe is aiming for, and what we'll see, it's not very, the Hemshech of the Maamar from here on is not very clear. But L'chayre, where the Rebbe is going to is, what's taka higher than Torah? What's higher than Torah is the Sheidish of Neshamas Yisrael. There's the famous Medrash that says that there are two things that are called Mulaylam, Yidden and Torah. And then the Medrash continues, Mimehem Kadam, and the Medrash concludes, Yidden are higher. Because when you look in Torah, it says, Tzavas b'nei Yisrael, Daber el b'nei Yisrael. So the whole Torah is being said for the purpose of Yidden, meaning that Yidden are the main thing, Yidden are before, and Torah is a direction and guidance to Yidden. So when the Rebbe here says that we're drawing from a place which is higher than Torah, it refers to the Sheidish of Neshamas Yisrael. And the Rebbe will now explain how does a Yid reveal the Sheidish of his Neshama here in this world. Of course, the Yid's Neshama has a very, very high Sheidish, but in this world, the neshama comes through many, many levels of a yirida, and it lives in a guf, in a nefsha bahamis, and it's a big aveda to be able to reveal the shaydish of that neshama. How do you reveal the shaydish of that neshama? That's one question. The other question is, what's the difference between the effect of Torah and the effect of the neshama? The effect of Torah is wherever it comes, it doesn't recognize that existence. It just, the Torah like comes in and is mevatel everything. The Torah has its opinion and guidance. Torah doesn't recognize the existence of anything. It has a guidance for everything. Torah sees everything within its world. It doesn't recognize any existence outside of itself. By Neshamas Yisrael, it's different. When you reveal a neshama, the neshama has the kayach to penetrate within the Metzias, to recognize and discover the truth of Hashem in the Metzias of the world. It's a different kayach a neshama has, as we'll see in the Hemshech of the Maamar. Let's see. So to draw from this very high place, this is through specifically the Aveda of refining the Gashmias of the world and elevating it to Hashem. So there's Torah mitzvahs. Now in Torah mitzvahs gufa, most times when a person does a mitzvah, there's a physical object involved. So the fact that the person takes a physical object and creates a mitzvah out of it is a birur. But there are certain mitzvahs where there is no direct birur at least. There are certain mitzvahs that don't involve a physical object. Amunas Hashem, Avos Hashem, Yiras Hashem, and so on. Although it says in other places that the organs of the person's body, the mayach and the leiv, is the physical object of the mitzvah. But still, it's not the same to a regular mitzvah where you refine a physical object and elevate it. But when the Rebbe says Avedis HaBirurim, of course, the Rebbe is speaking in a broader sense that includes everything a person does during the day. The eating, the drinking, the sleeping, the business, the conversations. Whatever a person does in the day, if he does it l'shem shemayim, if he does it b'chol d'rachecha de'eyu, so then he's refining and elevating every part of his day. So Avedis HaBirurim includes the interaction with the Gashmias and doing it with the proper kavana, with the proper purpose, and then you bring holiness and you elevate the Gashmias into Ruchnias. That's the Aveda that draws higher than the Etzem Torah mitzvahs. This doesn't exclude Torah mitzvahs, but it's a different prat of it, it's a different focus. We're not talking just about the inyan of Torah mitzvahs to fulfill Ratzon Hashem in the Torah mitzvahs, but we're talking about the fact that a Yid interacts and elevates Gashmias. Hine Yidu Torah Baal Shem Tov. There's a well-known word of the Baal Shem Tov, Shebechol Dov Asher Nimtza B'Reshusei Shel Yisrael, that anything that's found in the possession of Yidden, Yeshnom Nitzaitzin Kedoshim, there are holy sparks. And the Baal Shem Tov adds that we know that everything in the world has holy sparks. So whatever a person has and deals with, he elevates. But here the Baal Shem Tov adds, Hashayachim l'shoirish nishmasai, which are related to the shoirish of your neshama. If there's something that you have in your possession, or something that you come in contact with, it's because this is something that's shaykh to the shoirish of your neshama. Which, even before we go weiter, there's a very powerful message right there, that the person looks at what he has, and then the person looks at what someone else has. What you have to know is you're never going to get more than what's bashert and what's intended, because whatever is shaykh to the shayrish of your neshama, the Eibishter gives you, or allows you to come in contact with, in order that your neshama should elevate it. What's not shaykh to the shayrish of your neshama, you can tanzen and springen from the dach. It's not going to help you. It's not shaykh to the shayrish of the person's neshama, and he will not have the shaykhs to it to be able to elevate it. Okay, so that's the word of the Baal Shem Tov. And if chas v'shalom a person is stealing something, and that's really what the shayrish of the idea. Al piruchnis and yonim. Why there's a problem of gneva? Besides the fact that a gneva is a issa ben adam lachavere, of course, but it's also a problem ben adam lamakim. Because when a person is stealing, what it means is this belonged to someone else's shayrish hanashama, and he was supposed to elevate this. And when you elevate it, you're not elevating it. It's a mitzvah bal baveri. You cannot elevate the holy spark that's there. So you're not allowing this thing to have its bitter, to get elevated to its source. That's what's shaykh to one person's shayrish and neshama. That's what's shaykh to another person's shayrish and neshama. So there's no point in geneva. And there's also this teaches a person how not to be jealous, not to whatever is intended for a person to have from the moment he's born, or like the Gemara says, from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah, a person, the Eibusher gives a person his mezainis, or in the morning when he davens, and the Eibusher listens to his tefillah and gives him what he needs for that day. That's shaykh to the shayrish of his neshama, not a penny more and not a penny less.
So how did the Alter Rebbe change the time for the Maggid?
The what?
Steal the time from the Maggid? And the Maggid's son, and he learned the Chabad.
Yeah, okay. So that's a different Indian. Okay, let's go weiter. Now with this, the Baal Shem Tov explains that the Torah has tremendous mercy, the word is, or the Torah is very, very careful with money that belongs to Yidden. Although it's only money. There are different incidents in the Gemara. I think there's the story with Rabbi Yochanan when he was walking in a place where there were thorns and it was difficult to walk there. So he picked up his garment and he walked through, and he got bloody from walking through in these thorns and bushes. But he wanted to protect his garment. So you think to yourself, a garment is replaceable, but your body, why are you hurting yourself walking in such a place? So Rabbi Yochanan, I believe it's Rabbi Yochanan, he said that the money, the garment is more important even than my body. It's an unbelievable thing. A Tana speaks this way. His money is more important than his own body. This is his priorities in life. Elamai, the answer is because he sees the ruchnias, he sees the godly sparks that there are in that garments, and that he knows that's a shlichus in this world, and that's shaykh to the shayrish of his neshama, and that's what he has to elevate. So therefore, that's something that he wants to protect. That if his garment is going to get ruined, it won't be useful, and he will have to throw it out. And he knew that this is a garment that he has to wear, to use, to be able to daven with it, and learn Torah with it, and elevate it. That's the reason why he was careful with his garments. Chavivim aleim yaisim megufan, exactly, similar thing, right? So it's only their money, but it's not only money. That's the point. It's nishnar geld. Since the money, the possessions, v'chein shari dvarim. Who shall Yisrael is a Yid, it's Yiddish money, it's Yiddish geld, it's a Yiddish object. Zeh what this shows is, and the Rebbe adds that the basis of this is the idea of the Baal Shem Tov Kochzechin, the idea of Hashgacha Pratis, the fact that it became mine, the fact that I came with in contact with this is Hashgacha Pratis, and therefore what it proves is Shenitzaitzis Elu Shayachim L'Shayrish Shmasai, that these sparks are connected to the source of my neshama. It's related to this individual. It's not just in general that the world has a lot of nitzaitis out there, and the nitzaitis are not shaykh to anybody. That's how you would think. Without this word of the Baal Shem Tov, the concept of bitter on nitzaitis is brought in Sifrei Kabbalah. It's not the Baal Shem Tov's Chiddush. But the Pashtus, you understand, there are reish pei ches nitzaitis out there in the world. In general, there are many more if you subdivide it. And the Yid has to come and find it. And a Yid has a mazel to be in a place where no other Yid was there, and he makes a bracha in that place, and he could elevate a holy spark that's been waiting thousands of years to be elevated. But the nitzaitis has no shaykhs to anybody. They're ownerless. But the Baal Shem Tov is saying, no, that's not the case. If it's yours, or even not necessarily your possession, if you come to a place and you come in contact with it, because it's your nitzitz, it's shaykh to the shayrish of your neshama. It's part of your aveda. And here the Baal Shem Tov added another nekuda, which is the punchline that the Rebbe wants to bring out from the Svart of the Baal Shem Tov. By refining them and elevating them to their source, this brings an elevation to the person himself as well. As we'll see in Mitzvah tomorrow.